Let us remember that 200 years ago, a Black man, an immigrant, visionary, and entrepreneur showed us the way to a more harmonious society. Thank you.
Now, as we stand here at the entrance of this beautiful city, and this is where DuSable built his original home. This is actually the origin of Chicago as a city. DuSable Park in 1987 was actually dedicated back by former Mayor Howard Washington. We are free. There has been that whole controversy about the origins of DuSable, and most of what we know of him came from the writings of others. There is no more. Say there is no more. Because the riches they are shared.
I don't know. It's all right.
Good afternoon, well, good morning, everyone. This is Janae Moreno, Project Manager for Friends of the Park. I see I have Juanita Irizarry, the Executive Director of Friends of the Parks. Juanita, if you could just say a quick hello. On site, we're running just a little bit late. And so if you could just say hello to everyone and give them a sense of what to expect for the rest of the streaming. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I could not hear Janae very well. How can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Just kind of say hello. All right.
Hi, Juanita.
Hello,
Good
can hear
morning,
you.
everyone.
Good morning.
And so if you could just
We are excited for this
the rest of the streaming. Thank you.
annual occasion that is so important to us as we remember Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable's life and legacy and that of his wife, Kirihawa. And it's set within an important moment in our history as a city and as a society this year, particularly thinking about who we want to lift up and what stories we want to tell about who we are as a people. So I'm particularly moved to be together with you all, though virtually. It's sad that we can't all congregate, but in some ways our ability to do this virtually brings in more people who may not have otherwise been on site with us. So we are so happy that you are all here with us. We are thoughtful about the larger context and the Black Lives Matter protests that are scheduled for later today that will start actually very near the site where our friends are gathering today at the DuSable bust. We are excited for a brief but exciting just remembrance and moment of calling us to think about how DuSable Park is part of our past, present, and future of Chicago. So we hand it back to our friends on site if you're ready to go.
Thank you, Juanita. They are getting ready to get started. So I think Andrea and Dana, you'll be connecting us to the streaming.
Yes.
Can I ask all guests to go on mute? If you're not on mute, it helps the piece sound better.
All right, so if you want to just put this through the first layer of your shirt all the way up through so we don't see the cable, that would be fantastic. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, you can just click on wherever you like. Just proving you. Thank you, Gail. And then
Stop the share screen.
Welcome, and thank all of you for coming to the DuSable Park Coalition to honor Jean Point Baptiste Sable, who passed away about over 200 years ago. We are here at this location where his home was built and at the DuSable Bridge to commemorate his vision and legacy. Today's program is a little different than what we have done in prior years. So I also want to say welcome to all of you virtual leaders and viewers and supporters on Facebook and Zoom. And a special hello to Juanita, Executive Director of Friends of the Park, who is hanging out with our Zoom viewers. To open the program, we have Andrew Johnson, who is a Cherokee elder and former executive director of the American Indian Center. He is currently the executive director of the Native American Chamber of Commerce of Illinois. He will do a land blessing in honor of the land on which we stand and occupy today. Andrew Johnson.
Very good. Thank you, Peggy. So, and we need the microphone from you. And we do. You can just honestly feed it like I'm in the inside of your jacket there, just so you don't see the cable.
Oh, oops, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Whose mic is that? Who's this person with this microphone? I know who the person is, but whose mic? Who's the mic?
Good morning. My name is Andrew Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of the Native American Chamber of Commerce of Illinois. It's a pleasure to be here today, and that it is such a joy to be here. I'd like to do two things this morning. One's a land acknowledgement. The other is a blessing and a smudging of the group that's here. Our land acknowledgement, we begin our gathering today by acknowledging the people and land upon which we meet. It is the location of the ancestral homelands of the people of the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Potawatomi, and Odawa. It is also the home of the Peoria, Kaskaskia, Piankasha, Wea, Miami, Mascoutin, Sac and Fox, Meskwaki, Kickapoo, and Chickasaw nations. We all have a responsibility to recognize our native nations and to work with them as we move forward. So why do we acknowledge the land? It's an expression of gratitude and appreciation to those whose territory we reside on, in a way of honoring the indigenous people who have been living and working on the land from time immemorial. What I'd like to do is introduce Dennis Downs, the president of the Great Lakes Trail Marker Tree Society and world-renowned sculptor who will help with our blessing. We're going to light our sage, sweetgrass, tobacco, and cedar. The smoke will rise. As we light it, please say a prayer. It's an anointing that's done in that your prayers, your thoughts to the Creator will be taken up to Him or her, taken up to the Creator by the smoke, and we'll hear your prayers in that way. So, Dennis. Let's give a prayer to the Creator. Thank you for your guidance, your wisdom. Please help us through these times. Watch over us, give us wisdom and courage to meet life and to be as good as best we can. Thank you. Wado, let's thank you in Cherokee.
Thank you very much. My co-chair, Mr. Serge Pierre-Louis, will continue with the program. Serge?
And feel free to. There we go. Yeah, is it there? Great. Good morning, everybody. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming today. My name is Serge Pierre-Louis. I am the chair of the DuSable Park Coalition. And the coalition was formed 20 years ago under the leadership of Friends of the Parks, who has been coordinating it over the years. We are a group of civic organizations. Our main goal is to promote the legacy of Jean-Baptiste DuSable, the founder of our beautiful city. We have this ceremony every year to honor the anniversary of the death of Jean-Baptiste DuSable. This year we are fortunate because Jean-Baptiste DuSable died on the 29th of August of 1818, and we happen to be today on the 29th of August. So this has a particular significance for us to be here together today with all of you. As we are speaking to a small group today because of the coronavirus, we are streaming live to Facebook this event to our supporters, and we are also entertaining a whole group through Zoom watching us. So we will be stopping from time to time to allow that to happen. So as I'm doing that, I'd like to recognize the executive director of Friends of the Parks, the coordinator of the DuSable Park Coalition, Juanita Irizarry. She's right here looking at us as we speak. And I'd like to say hello to her, as well as to all the fans all over the world who are watching us celebrating this man today. I will be introducing different speakers, and they're gonna say a few words, each one of them. Our first speaker today is gonna be Paul Montes. Paul is the chair of the DuSable Park Advisory Council. This is again a group that was put together between the Chicago Park District and Friends of the Parks helped put that together so that we have neighborhood input into the design and the construction and future programming on the DuSable Park. So Paul will come and tell us a few words about that. Paul?
Actually, I think, or it's your call, whichever. Go ahead. Thank you. You guys ready? Yeah. All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Montes. I am the president of the DuSable Park Advisory Council. DPAC was started approximately 2 years ago to help shepherd the development of DuSable Park. DuSable Park was dedicated more than 30 years ago by Harold Washington. The location of the park is approximately a half a mile directly east of where we're standing at the mouth and the intersection of the Chicago River and the Ogden Slip. The site itself is approximately 3.5 acres that rises basically from the mouth of the river, basically to the outer part of Lakeshore Drive. The city of Chicago recently has moved through committee, approximately a $5 million grant to be able to start with the design and the development of the park. We're hoping that that goes to City Council within the next 2 weeks so that we get approval, so that we actually do get funding to start the park. Over the years, there's been quite a bit of remediation that had to take place. There's been revetment. Everything is now ready. The park is actually shovel ready at this point, and we're looking forward to the city of Chicago passing that ordinance and getting funds for us to be able to build our park. We as the DuSable Park Advisory Committee actually are a coalition, which was actually started with the coalition that's presenting today. So together we all are moving forward. We're trying to make sure that this park comes to fruition. We're hoping that within the next 3 years, we will have a fully functioning park at, again, the mouth of our river. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Zach, feel free to wire me again. Thank you very much to Paul. Paul has been very active in running the DuSable Park Advisory Council, and we are very grateful to him for doing that. Next speaker is gonna be Kimberly Bears. Kimberly is the president and CEO of the Magnificent Mile Association, which is that huge association of almost 700 members, gathering all the businesses that you can see all around the loop. And they have decided this year, actually, to celebrate the centennial of the DuSable Bridge. So we've been in contact. They had different events over the years, and she's gonna tell you more about that. And we were glad to invite her to come and celebrate Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable as her group is celebrating the centennial of the DuSable Bridge. Kimberly? Here we go.
Good morning, and Serge, thank you. I am truly and deeply honored to be here with all of you, and grateful for the friendship that Serge and Andrew have extended to us at the Magnificent Mile Association. The Magnificent Mile begins at the birthplace of the great city of Chicago, of course founded by a Black Haitian, Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable, with the help of his wife, Kiriwaha, a member of the Potawatomi tribe. Daniel Burnham's plan of Chicago in 1909 was the impetus for the creation of the Magnificent Mile Association, which is the oldest business association in the city of Chicago. In 1920, the DuSable Bridge opened and connected the north and south sides of the city. It transformed Michigan Avenue from a single-lane dirt road known as Pine Street into what we have today, Michigan Avenue. We at the association have worked for the past 112 years to grow Michigan Avenue into one of the great avenues of the world, curating each detail from signage to stores and storefronts, the wide boulevard and sidewalks that we enjoy, and the beautiful planters up and down the avenue. We're also today one of the largest neighborhoods in the city of Chicago and the fastest growing downtown neighborhood in the United States. However, we have challenges ahead. It is my great belief that together we can face those challenges head on. We're in the midst of a global pandemic, one that mirrors the Spanish flu that raged during the construction of this bridge 100 years ago. Later today, we're expecting the latest in a series of powerful, peaceful protests for racial justice. And again, I'm honored to be here in the midst of this coalition that represents the diversity of not only our city, but our nation. Our city's founding story is one of interdependence and partnership. We must continue that work and that legacy for at least the next 100 years. We can, must, and will do better to connect downtown to our city's neighborhoods. And we recognize that a great city needs both a vibrant and robust and safe downtown and vibrant and robust and safe neighborhoods so that all of a great city's citizenry can enjoy a good life. Michigan Avenue is the birthplace of our city, and working together we can continue DuSable and Kirihawa's legacy and ensure that our district is a welcoming place that continues to do its part in welcoming generations to come. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so how are we doing so far? We're doing good. Okay, I cannot hear our audience all over the world, but I'm guessing it's thumbs up also from them. Great. Okay, so thank you very much to Kimberly. I think what the Magnificent Mile Association is doing is very important, and we hope that her group is going to continue to work with the DuSable Park Association for the foreseeable future. Next, I'd like to introduce Charles Bethea, who is representing the Chicago History Museum. The History Museum, for several years, have been graceful enough to donate the wreath that we are going to be layering later during this ceremony. We are having a special thought for Russell Williams, who used to be joining us every year, offering the wreath, and who passed away a couple years ago. Charles, come on in.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Charles Bethea. I'm the Andrew W. Mellon Director of Collections and Curatorial Affairs at the Chicago History Museum. And today, DuSable Day. Happy to be here, glad to be here. One of the first things that I would like to say on this particular occasion is recognition and understanding and acknowledgement. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is, for a very long time, it has gotten to a point where the city was ignoring this gentleman behind me. But what I can say over the years, because I remember when this particular bus went up and the crowds that would come out each year honoring and respecting our founder of this particular city, the only person of color known to found an American city, that we are honoring and recognizing his work. And we ourselves are a part of his legacy, just for the simple fact that we are here in this city, walking down this wonderful street, living, working, eating, breathing, sleeping in the area that this gentleman behind me began, with the help of the indigenous folks that were already here. Aha, I said recognition, honoring, and remembering. Those are some of the things that I know we're going to be doing more so of at the Chicago History Museum, and bringing more of the narrative, more of the story to everyone's minds and everyone's understanding of who this gentleman was, who the indigenous people were, and all those histories and stories that we want to share about all the neighborhoods throughout Chicago. And with that, I would say thank you for joining us today, and remember Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Charles. We appreciate your kind words and your continued support of the DuSable Park Coalition. And as we spoke earlier about one person that we are missing a lot, Russell Lewis, who used to be with the Chicago History Museum. Another person we are also missing is the Haitian entrepreneur who donated this bust of Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable years ago, so that the memory of the founder of the city does not disappear. So we hope that Leslie is resting in peace today and watching over us. Next, I'd like to introduce Fahim Majid. Fahim may look like a teenager, but he is not. He's been around long enough to be putting all kinds of art pieces everywhere in Chicago to draw attention to certain civic areas of our everyday life. More recently, he has embraced the idea of Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable and has started putting up pieces of art related to the story of Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable. I will let Fahim tell you more about that. Fahim?
Hi everyone. Let's see, get that on there today. Oh, I'll figure it out. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. How's everyone doing today? My name is Fahim Majid. I'm a co-director of the Floating Museum, which basically the mission is to think of the city as a museum and the neighborhoods as galleries, and think about the resources that go with that. We're really honored to be in solidarity and a part of the DuSable Park Coalition, and in solidarity with the Chicago Park Advisory Council. And once again, as Serge mentioned, a lot of our work thinks about acknowledging the contributions of people who aren't always kind of pushed to the forefront. So in our work, we think a lot about the contributions of Jean-Baptiste DuSable as the first non-Indigenous settler of Chicago, and Kitty Hawa. So come back. We're going to go down and see our 30-foot portable monument called Founders, and I'll do a little walkthrough on that. But I'm just really honored to be here today and leverage my artwork and my collaborators and all the artists in the city to draw attention to this much needed need to get this park built and to acknowledge one of our founders. Thank you.
Okay, so we are moving along smoothly. It was announced we were gonna have some rain today. We are lucky that we don't have that. So we are enjoying this beautiful and cool weather in Chicago today. This brings us pretty much close to the end of our ceremony. However, before I do that, I would like to recognize all those different groups who are part of the DuSable Park Coalition. And they are not all here today, but they all have been an important part of what we do. First, I'd like to remind everybody that this tradition started with a group that was called the DuSable League. It was a group of older ladies who had decided to pay tribute to Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable every year. And they started this whole tradition to come here and say a prayer and put some flowers next to Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable, close to where his home existed, the first home in Chicago. But then after the DuSable League, we had Friends of DuSable, who was another organization who picked up that tradition and started having this ceremony every year. We have today with us Arnold Romeo, as well as Peggy Montes. They used to be active members of Friends of DuSable. And then subsequently, the tradition was picked up again together by Friends of the Park and DuSable Heritage Association. I am a past president of the DuSable Heritage Association. And as we speak right now, the president of the association, Edzer Kantav, is watching us through Zoom, and I'd like to recognize him. And the DuSable Heritage Association has added another dimension to this event by giving a free walking tour, starting from here, going all the way to Lake Michigan, where the future DuSable Park is located. And as we walk there, we tell the story of early Chicago, how Chicago was born, but we tell that story from the perspective of Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable. We know there are many other tours being given, but this is the only tour that tells you the entire story of Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable as you walk from here, where he had his home, all the way to the lake, where he's gonna have his future home, which is the DuSable Park. I think I have mentioned everybody as part of Paul. Did I forget anybody in the DuSable Park Coalition? Of course, one important person in the coalition has been Gail Spring, who has been with the SOAR organization. And Gail has been the engine of this event. She's been there every year with us and supporting us in everything that we do. And Gail has been instrumental as well with our connection with the Native American groups. So thank you again, Gail, for everything you've been doing for the DuSable Park Coalition. I must remind everybody as well that there are other groups, not here, but they have an interest in what Mayor Howell Washington did more than 30 years ago, which was to name that piece of land as the future park named after Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable. So we have a particular recognition for Mayor Howell Washington for having had that vision of wanting to dedicate a park to the founder of the city, and a park which is located not too far from where he had his home. We are happy to see that Mayor Lightfoot now is following that tradition, and she sent us a message earlier, and the message was put out through Facebook and through our Zoom video. Those of you who are watching us from all over the world, you must have seen that message from Mayor Lightfoot. She could not join us physically today. Mayor Lightfoot also has approved recently $5 million to be added to $10 million that's gonna be donated by Related Midwest, the developer of the land right next to the DuSable Park. And we are hoping with all that seed money, hopefully DuSable Park will become a reality within the next 3 to 5 years. We will keep our fingers crossed and we will see. Of course, we would like also to thank the Chicago Park District. They have been very instrumental in collaborating with us, in making sure that DuSable Park goes through the different steps, the different stages. We are now at the last stage of having the actual construction of the park in a few years. And I think with this, unless I've forgotten something or somebody, That always happens every year. Somebody's gonna get upset at me because I forgot. But I think pretty much we have recognized everybody in the coalition and all our partners for this ceremony and working with us with the future DuSable Park. So I think at this point, we're gonna move to the last part of this ceremony by having Charles come with me and bring the wreath to the statue. We will all observe a minute of silence in memory of those who have contributed to having the statue of DuSable here, and those who have contributed to having this ceremony done every year, and who have worked on the future DuSable Park. We are all having a special thought for them. Okay, thank you very much. And that takes us to the end of this ceremony. We're gonna now take a group picture with the different members of the DuSable Park Coalition. And then after that, we will close this part of the ceremony. We invite those of you who are interested in walking with us 1 mile along the Chicago River toward Lake Michigan, where we're gonna be visiting the piece of art of the floating museum with Fahim Majid. And we will say a few words about the DuSable Park, which is going to be right across from the river. It is not mandatory that you come, but those of you who want to follow us, you can do that, and we will resume the streaming on Facebook as well as on Zoom when we get there at the lake at the DuSable Harbor. Thank you again, everybody, for coming, and we hope to see you next year.
So as we look at the gallery picture, let me share with everyone that it's going to take us a few quick moments. There is going to be an interview at the bridge with the Magnificent Mile people to talk about the 4 towers on the bridge. And I'm just going to wait for them a little bit to then do so. But I'd like to invite Juanita and Lauren, I see a few names that I noticed, to ask you while we wait for them to get to the DuSable Harbor, if you would just share some thoughts and conversation, not only about DuSable, but what that means for us today, especially during this time of the enlightened view of what's happening around the city, the issues of monuments, the issues of honor. So give us a moment and enjoy these slideshow. This is your, bathroom break, water break, stretch break moment, and we'll see you back in about 3 minutes. If you do want step away.
So I'll say just a few words and then invite others who want to speak, and just use this opportunity to tease our Parks of Democracy luncheon and conference, which we will be having in October, as it very much connects to themes that are lifted up today. We are hoping that October 16th will be the day for our luncheon conversation, and we will send out more information about that, but we will specifically be talking about statues and park names. And the question that is very much a part of our civic conversation right now about who we want to honor as a city, how we think about racial justice and equity as we do that, and what the processes are for us to make those decisions as a city. The Chicago Park District has some of its own process going around park names and renaming. We have the city of Chicago thinking about the statues. And we want to invite all of you to be part of that dialogue as well. So I would ask you to say.
So Kimberly, it was so great to have you with us today, and we could not have dreamed of a better situation than to join forces between the DuSable Coalition doing this annual event, the Magnificent Mile doing their own event separately, celebrating the bridge. I was so excited when I first met Kimberly several months ago. She told me about the centennial. I said, Kimberly, we need to get together and continue the celebration together. So I'm so glad you were able to come.
Yeah. Well,
so thank
Serge,
you again.
I didn't need to have my arm twisted at all, because it's funny that you say you were so excited to meet me. I was excited to meet you and honored. And this is exactly the kind of partnership that we had hoped for. And Serge is right. We started conversations in October in anticipation of this day. Now, I have to say, I could imagine a better day than today, which is everyone that's watching could be here with us. So that next year, 2021, we have high hopes for 2021.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. I was telling Kim how sorry we were as a coalition to hear of all the tumultuous times that all her members have been going through. We know that the Magnificent Mile represents the economic engine of Chicago, and it was sad to see what they've been going through. So we understand that everybody is hurting, and we are hoping that over time, this is something that's gonna be settled. We all want to have racial justice and social justice. We know that the Magnificent Mile Association is committed to that, and we are hoping to keep working in the future so that the association and all the members will join us in celebrating DuSable every year, as well as in promoting the future DuSable Park. What better way for the Magnificent Mile Association to be part of creating social justice than to bring all the members in the celebration of the Black men who created and who founded the city.
Absolutely. I couldn't say it better than that, Serge, so I should leave it there, except to add that absolutely, that's why we're here. That's why we started these conversations in October. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, as we know, are founding pillars of Mayor Lightfoot's administration. We have adopted them as an association. We recognize that we're connected to Chicago's neighborhoods, and Chicago's neighborhoods are connected to downtown. We can't have one without the other. We can't have a strong downtown and struggling neighborhoods, nor can we have strong neighborhoods without a strong downtown. So it's absolutely both and. The downtown is undoubtedly and most certainly the economic engine, not just for the city, but the county and the state and the region. When you think about a map of the United States, we've got New York, we've got LA, and we've got Chicago. And you have our commitment that we will embody the resiliency of the Chicago people, the resiliency of our founder in overcoming the current civil unrest and seeing ourselves to a better future.
Excellent. And finally, I'd like to ask him to just say a few words. I know she spoke about that earlier, but I would like to ask him, I remember when I met with her, one of the things she told me was how the DuSable Bridge is not just a physical bridge for cars to go over. It is a bridge between so many different aspects of life in Chicago. So I'd like to ask her again to tell our audience, how does she view the significance of the DuSable Bridge?
Well, you can never let a good bridge metaphor go to waste. And indeed, it is a physical structure. It represents inspiration from 1909, Daniel Burnham's plan of Chicago in 1909, which envisioned what we have today. This is a Beaux-Arts architectural style for the bridge, and Michigan Avenue may remind you of the Champs-Élysées in Paris for a good reason, because it was designed to evoke that kind of Parisian flair. Today, 100 years after the bridge was built, we find ourselves in unbelievably another pandemic. We find ourselves wrestling with our American history, and we have an opportunity to put Jean-Baptiste DuSable in his rightful place as the founder of Chicago. The bridge physically connects downtown to the neighborhoods, North Michigan Avenue to South Michigan Avenue, going through wonderful neighborhoods and ending up in Roseland, a neighborhood that is near and dear to my heart. And we have wonderful friends and partners in Roseland. And we look forward to really making those connections very tangible and very concrete. And also as a bridge to the future. 100 years later, we're in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. We have an opportunity to use this moment to reimagine how we want to be as a world, as a society, and as a city for the next 100 years.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. I could not agree more that the DuSable Bridge is the bridge between South and North. It is the bridge between black and white. It is the bridge between the past and the future. And it is a bridge of a tumultuous time that we are going through and a much better future where we're gonna all live in harmony with each other. With this, I'd like to thank again Kimberly for joining us, and thank all of you else who have joined us. And we're gonna close now and move to the Michigan Lake. Goodbye. Good job.
So all in addition to the October 16th and 17th dates that I wanted to highlight, we're also having an October 23rd workshop specifically about DuSable Park, very much on the theme that we just heard. Updating our community about the progress on the park, but also connecting it to current times, current themes, and how we can build bridges to one another. So we ask you to hold that date, October 23rd. It will be a virtual workshop at midday. And we will very much invite folks to please tell their friends. That aspect of the conference will be completely free. Though we're happy to have sponsors for our luncheon, which helps us to provide the other parts of our content at no cost, especially for our community members who need that. So please mark your calendars October 16th and 17th for our virtual conference, and then add the 23rd for an actual workshop. And as you may imagine, we can't do a day and a half of workshop back to back like we usually do for our conference. When we're doing this virtual, we can't imagine you would all want to just sit there all that time. So the conference components will happen actually over 4 days, October 16th and 17th, which mirrors our usual Friday afternoon and all day Saturday conference, and starts with our luncheon, and then October 23rd workshop. And then the next weekend, which is the weekend of Halloween and Day of the Dead, we will have actually a final closing ceremony at the statue of the Steelworkers in Steelworkers Park, as well as our annual Day of the Dead remembrance, telling stories of steelworkers and those that flow from the Southeast Side community, which this year will include a special focus on environmental injustice in light of the ongoing pollution in that community and the fact that that community is asked to carry the burden of so much of our pollution. We will also remember those who have passed because of COVID-19 and racial injustice. So please mark your calendars, October 16th, 17th, 23rd, and then probably on Sunday, November 1st, though we're still pulling together details. That ceremony, like this one, will include some folks on site and many of us virtually. So please mark your calendars. I do invite other folks, starting with some of our board members who are on board and those who've been involved with the DuSable Park Coalition for many, many years, if you'd like to do a little bit of reflection with us at this time.
Okay. Do you hear me? It's there.
Yes, it's there, please.
Okay. Oh, what a ceremony. This is, first I need to thank Serge for a magnificent MC job.
Mm-hmm.
And need to thank also all the speakers. And I am, as president of DuSable Heritage Association, I was particularly moved by the depth of the ceremony, by the richness of the ceremony. So today, the ceremony took on a new dimension by adding the blessing. So that's something, you know, that's deeply moving. Yeah. And when you look at it in the background, you look at the skyline, and you look at the river, and you look at the lakefront, a little bit of the lakefront. So you see those iconic buildings. You hear about the magnificent mile. So that's DuSable's vision in action. So this is all the thing that you are thinking about, because this moment in the year is always a moment of reflection. We have to reflect on the life of this Black man, you know, of Haitian descent, you know, an immigrant, you know, an entrepreneur, and a pioneer of multiculturalism. You see all that unfolding today. This is, you know, I feel humbled by this. And it's too bad that I couldn't be there, but you know, this is something that, I mean, that set a standard. I don't think, I mean, we can go, and we have to maintain this standard going forward. And to honor this man, along with his wife, who put their resources, who put their energies together in a synergistic fashion to bring about something like this, something like a city, like a world-class city, yeah, like Chicago, a city that was born to be diverse. This is what this is, and I took a particular attention to Charles's words. We spoke about DuSable's legacy. Legacy is in everyone in Chicago. That's because everyone can claim a piece of DuSable. This is the kind of legacy that I see in DuSable. Everywhere I go, I see DuSable. Everywhere in Chicago, in the buildings, in the people. So, and my hope is that DuSable Park will be a mirror of what the settlement that DuSable put together, that we should be a mirror of that settlement where there was a harmony among diverse cultures, a harmony among diverse ethnicities. So that's the hope that I have for DuSable Park, which will be a space, a locale where multiculturalism is celebrated, a place where respect for each other is celebrated. Okay, so thank you so much. It was a wonderful event, and we're also glad to be a part of it. And if I may take a few words, because I heard that it is a worldwide event, if I can take a few words to greet my Creole speaking friends, or my French speaking friends, if I may. Haïtiens, haïtiennes de tout côté nous, bonjour nous ça passé. C'est jeudi, on a célébré 200e anniversaire de la mort de Jean-Baptiste Pointe-DuSable, haïtien qui était fondé Chicago. Et DuSable Association, DuSable Heritage Association, nous avons 20 ans de travail pour nous promouvoir avec héritage DuSable. So, pour te coller avec nous, parce que M. Cédric, pour toi, garçon payé. Okay. And to the French speaking from the diaspora, I would say a quick few words. Tout d'abord, merci beaucoup d'être venu assister à cette cérémonie. Bienvenue à cette célébration. Je suis Edzer Alcanta, président de DuSable Heritage Association. C'est une association vieille de 20 ans qui veille à la promotion de l'héritage de Jean-Baptiste Pointe-DuSable, haïtien, qui a fondé Chicago. Aujourd'hui, nous célébrons le 202e anniversaire de sa mort. Et c'est un honneur pour moi de rendre ce tribut à ce personnage important de la ville de Chicago et un modèle de tolérance, un modèle de multiculturalisme à travers le monde. Merci beaucoup. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Edzer.
Okay.
Thank you, Edzer.
Okay, you're welcome.
Are there others who would like to reflect? Partners over the years?
Hi, I'm Lauren Maltz, past chair of the Board of Friends of the Parks, and I've been involved for a long time. Over the years, DuSable Park has been a part, and the coalition have been such a part of the fabric of Friends of the Parks. And there's so much symbolism in the coalition and the park and who DuSable was and his importance to the city. And the fact that we've just kept this going and with the coalition for so many years, I think it just gives me a lot of hope for the future, and just what this park and DuSable symbolizes for the city. So to see it about to come to fruition is so exciting, and appreciate all the effort of all the partners and Friends of the Parks over the years.
Apparently, we have about 5 minutes until we get video back of folks on site. So we have a few more minutes for others to talk. And then the other requests I would put in there, I don't know how the technical pieces would work to this, but if we can show the remarks from Chief Equity Officer Candace Moore as well at this time, I'd love to have us see that again for those who haven't seen it.
I can definitely play that for you.
Great. And thank you for those who know how to do all the great technical stuff behind the scenes to make this work for us. We appreciate it. Thank you, team. I can't hear her, but.
Hey,
Sorry.
202 years ago, Chief Equity Officer. Today, 202 years ago, a great man named Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable passed away. DuSable was born to a Black slave mother and a white French father on the island of Saint-Domingue, which we now know as Haiti. After getting an education in France, DuSable migrated to New Orleans, made his way up the Mississippi River to Peoria, Illinois, and eventually settled at the mouth of the Chicago River near Lake Michigan. The Potawatomi people that he encountered along the way welcomed him, and eventually he went on to become part of their community. DuSable built a new settlement here and called it Chicago, leaving a legacy of hope and opportunity across the Midwest. Today, I joined many Chicagoans across the city to commemorate his life and contributions to this city. We celebrate his business acumen, we honor his affinity for hard work, and we respect his ability to work with people of all origins, background, and ethnicities. Thank you to the many organizations for keeping the memory of Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable alive. These include the DuSable Park Coalition of Friends of the Park, the DuSable Heritage Association, DuSable Park PAC, and the Magnificent Mile Association. I also want to give a special thanks to the Chicago History Museum and the Floating Museum for their contributions, which have immortalized our history within their institutions. As we continue to seek social justice during these especially tumultuous times, let us remember that 200 years ago, a Black man, an immigrant, visionary, and entrepreneur showed us the way to a more harmonious society. Thank you.
And now it's just going to be a slideshow, so and then another video from Serge. So if anybody else wants to talk.
Let me just say a couple of words to thank Janae Moreno, our project consultant who's been working with Friends of the Parks for three and a half years with the DuSable Park work as a key piece of her work. And she has done such an amazing job of keeping us all connected to one another, growing the coalition, helping us all be thoughtful about new partners that need to be brought to the table. And Janae is happy to be way in the background, but I just want to thank her for the fact that all of this work happens. She happens to be Haitian. She happens to be someone I've known since the 1990s, also doing other community development and public policy work. And we are so thankful to have her as part of our team at Friends of the Parks, though she's not a full-time staff person. She is absolutely key to our policy work. Also, helping us with our advocacy work and lobbying at the state level, and often helping us with our special events coordination. And some of you would have met her at some of our Parks of Democracy conferences as well. And she brings in family members and friends, even her father, who lives in Miami and is in his 90s, who speaks into our work all the way from there. So we are so thankful for the community that Janae helps to hold together. And behind the scenes on site today, doing our Facebook Live, is also Abigail Johnston, our newest staff person at Friends of the Parks. She's our Policy and Communications Associate and my Executive Assistant. And together, she and Janae have been the dream team in making this event work. And again, thank goodness for those who do the technological pieces behind the scenes to make this work. So thank you again, all. Do we have a minute or two for anybody else to say some words?
Yes, if you can hear me. Hello?
Great.
Can you
Go
hear
ahead.
me?
Yes.
Yes, I just want to, this is Ephraim Martin. I just want to salute the DHA and the Friends of the Park for such a marvelous job and for all you've been doing over the years. We want to salute you. Of course, you know, we may do on a different project, but we want to make sure that DuSable Park be the greatest thing in Chicago ever of all the parks. And while we're pushing for a monument and a street and of course an holiday official, we want to join with DuSable Heritage Association and all the others to work together to make sure that all the things that we're seeking for DuSable will come through, and we are ready to support as much as possible.
That's great. It's nice to meet you, Mr. Martin. I know we've been communicating by email, so it's great to have you join us today as well.
Indeed, it's a pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
All right, and I would like to thank Martin for his interest in DuSable. And I also would like to thank Janae for all her work for coordinating this event. I mean, it was a wonderful job. Okay, so thank you so much.
You're still on mute, right?
Unmuted.
We're good.
Yeah.
So welcome back to everybody. It took us a while to walk all the way from Michigan Avenue to the DuSable Harbor. And I'm looking right now at the DuSable Harbor. And behind me, you can see the piece of art that our friend Fahim Majid put together of the floating museum. And you would not have imagined that DuSable, Kitty Howard, Mayor Howard Washington had such big heads, but they did, and that's why they came up with a city like Chicago. And I am glad to finally have Fahim with us here. And Fahim is going to tell us a little bit about how you were able to put this together, what was the inspiration that he had at the time, and technically, how did he manage to put this? And every time he have an exhibit somewhere, how does he carry this thing around? So Fahim, tell us about that.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Once again, welcome back. This piece is called Founders. And basically, it's really interesting right now as we're thinking about monuments and who gets to make monuments and what we make monuments about. So essentially, it's a portable sculpture. It's 30 feet tall. And the idea was a part of our Cultural Transit Assembly exhibition at the Floating Museum last year. We moved this around the city adjacent to the Green Line and spaces on the west side and the south side. Sometimes we let people know we were coming, sometimes we just magically popped up in the park. And essentially, just to break it down a little bit, it's actually an exhibition. We did this piece in collaboration with Monica Rickard, who is actually Potawatomi and half African American, half Potawatomi. And we worked with the Field Museum and the DuSable Museum, and then another artist named Chris Poppin, along with us, who is also an artist of indigenous descent. So let me just give you a little bit of a tour. So the four heads, based on the cardinal directions, which are real important in indigenous cultures, so facing north, west, south, and east. On this side here, this is an image of Kitty Howard, who was the wife of Jean-Point Baptiste DuSable. And as little as that is known about Jean-Point Baptiste DuSable, there are no images of him other than kind of recreations based on descriptions. We work a lot with artists to kind of think about making our own portraits, putting a face to a name. So this is actually Monica Rickard, who is an artist, I explained, and while she was helping us think about a monument to Kitty Howard, for that portion, we asked her if she would sit as the model. So it's important to put faces to things. So over here to the left, we have Harold Washington, and we honor Harold Washington in a way of not only being the first African-American mayor of Chicago, but he also designated the parkland for Jean-Point Baptiste DuSable back in the 80s. So we kind of acknowledge him. And that actually is a sculpture by an unknown artist that comes from DuSable Museum's collection. So we're able to scan it, blow it up, and work with DuSable Museum through a series of exhibitions. So we're really proud to have that here. On the back side is an image of Jean-Point Baptiste DuSable that actually Etzer Kontav, who is a member of the DuSable Heritage Association, actually modeled for us as well. So we just thought, once again, thinking about not only having an image, a representation of a person, but also thinking about people's, acknowledging people's work to acknowledge those moments. So we're really proud to have Etzer kind of model for us. And then the other one is kind of an unknown boy. It was a sculpture from the DuSable Museum's collection, made by an artist named William Artis, one of the earliest pieces in their collection. We're excited to scan that and put it in. So you have the 4 heads kind of representing founders, and maybe in a way of acknowledging people's contributions that often aren't considered to be on that kind of founding sculpture. Another real important thing, as we were working with the Field Museum, we were trying to figure out a way of acknowledging indigenous Potawatomi kind of contributions. Because without Kiti Hawa, who not only represents a woman's support, he could not have done the things, DuSable could not have done the things that he did without the support of his loving wife, who actually was the key to, he basically married into the tribe and was able to curate on behalf of the tribe because of that union. She was the mother of his children as well. So we tried to look at some of the Field Museum's collections, but in a way of being respectful of Potawatomi artifacts and without having consent from the Potawatomi various tribal members. We actually made a pattern that was reminiscent of a Potawatomi pattern in textiles. So that's what you see this kind of pattern here. It is not a Potawatomi pattern, but it's inspired by Potawatomi pattern. And that's something that we were able to get from working with Chris Poppin, who is also an artist as well. So this is actually a formation of a coalition of people coming together to do something together, to start to think about how we acknowledge people's contributions here in the city. And we hope this is a movable, inflatable sculpture. It collapses, it'll be out here tonight, it'll be back tomorrow. But we hope as we start to think about making more monuments, to start thinking about doing that as a community. That's what's important. The community is actually the monument. The sculpture is the output. So yeah, so really excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Now that our audience all over the world, they know everything about what the Floating Museum has been doing, the significance of it, and how Fahim had the vision of bringing together Mayor Howard Washington, Kiti Hawa of the indigenous people, DuSable as the first black man from Haiti coming here. It was amazing how he managed to bring everything together. So we can have an idea how art can actually help society improve itself. And Fahim is the living example of that. And since we are here, let me just tell you where we are standing. We are actually at the junction of the Chicago River and Lake Michigan. And this is where, again, the city started, was born. We have behind us here, I'm looking at the DuSable Harbor that comes all the way up. And we have the DuSable Park. We're gonna go there in a minute so I can tell you more about it. Right at this corner. And as you go all along the river, you go to Pioneer Court where DuSable had his home. So therefore, this whole area is called the DuSable Founders Trail. And we are hoping that in the future, after the DuSable Park is built, when the tourists come to visit Chicago, just by walking all along the DuSable Founders Trail and learning about early Chicago and about its founder, by the time they leave this area, it would have been really an inspiring moment for them. They would have learned something, not just about Chicago, but about the American Midwest and the last couple centuries of what was happening in the world around the time of DuSable. So this is a great area where we are here, and we are happy that you have a chance to see the art of the Floating Museum. Now, I'm gonna walk with you a few steps down, and I'm gonna point out to you at the DuSable Park, and you're gonna see what the current status is, and I'll just say a few words about it. Okay, just follow me. take a view with the lake behind, so from the other side as well.
Who remembers the year that we did this tour on the same weekend as the Air and Water Show? And just as we were standing at this spot that Serge is walking to, looking across the river to another of the floating museum pieces ahead of DuSable that was on its side, and the Thunderbirds flew overhead to salute.
Yeah,
If
that was
only
2
we
years
could
ago.
be together, but that was great.
That was 2 years ago. Yeah,
2 years ago. That was on the 200th anniversary of DuSable.
that's right.
We also had some great kids drumline performance to welcome us as we walked under the bridge there and came out on this east side, and we had a drumline receiving us to celebrate as well.
Yes, yes, indeed.
And then I think there might have been some Haitian rum involved in a little
Oh.
after party.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, so funny that you remember that. Eh? Yes.
And we
Was that
headed
that
down to Island Party Hut afterwards.
Yes, afterwards we stopped by, what's that, the Island Hut?
Yes, yeah.
Island Hut. Okay, yeah, to get some, yeah, right.
They
It was a very
kindly
festive.
hosted us, and somebody won a free boat cruise on the Island Party Hut. I don't remember who that was, but that was a good time. And I hope maybe next summer we won't all still be shut in because of the coronavirus, and maybe we need to have a big celebration again, just for that reason, if nothing else.
Yes, hopefully. Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed for that.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Mm.
All right. Anybody else have any good stories? Any recollections? It's so exciting to see. It's hard to tell what you see beyond the boat, but the park is just across the river there, and it has been now fully remediated. And it is ready for the next step, which includes community participation. The Chicago Park District has committed to gathering feedback to update the 2006 framework plan that laid out a vision for the park, and many of you all were at the table when that framework plan was put together under Mayor Daley, actually, during his time as mayor. And so we want to make sure that we convene voices that are remembering the legacy of Harold Washington, voices that are making sure the Haitian community is represented, the local neighbors, certainly with Streeterville Organization of Active Residents, will be involved, and certainly the American Indian Center and the holders of the Native American legacy there. So we look forward to making sure that the park reflects all of us and is a truly public park where we can all come down to be so proud of Chicago's history and to bring kids in the Chicago public schools who need to know of the legacy of a Black man founding this city, along with his wife, Kitty Hawa, and the important role that.
Hey, welcome again, everybody. And I hope you are still with me, all of you from all over the world. My friends right here in Chicago, as well as our friends in the rest of the United States, our friends in Canada, in France, in Haiti, in South America. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for being with us today for this wonderful celebration of Jean-Baptiste Pointe-du-Sable. This is our last piece right now,
and I am standing in front of what's gonna be the future DuSable Park. Right behind me, there is the Chicago River. On my left is Lake Michigan, and across from the Chicago River, that piece of land that you are seeing there is gonna be the future DuSable Park. And as you can see, it is right next to Navy Pier and the lakefront. So this is an important.
When access on the other side, the other side of the river.
We are happy that DuSable is gonna have
That's Lakeshore Drive.
home right there at the entrance to the city.
That's Lakeshore Drive.
From the lake into the Chicago River. I must tell you that 200 years ago, if you had come here like this on a weekday or even on a Saturday, you would have seen hundreds of ships and boats coming in, some of them all the way from Canada, some of them from Europe, crossing the Atlantic and through the St. Lawrence River, would go down Lake Michigan and come and enter the Chicago River to bring merchandises and everything else into toward the Mississippi River and all the way down to New Orleans. So Chicago was strategically right at the center of commerce between Europe and the southern part of the United States. And that's probably what Jean-Baptiste Pointe-du-Sable understood somehow. He understood the importance of this little area and came and settled here and married Kitty Hawa of the Potawatomi tribe and started this beautiful city that you are watching right now. Going back to the park, we went through the first phase, which was to clean up the radioactive thorium. We are done with that. Then we went to the second phase, which was to actually replace the metal sheet reflector. You can see all around the land there is a metal sheet. This is brand new, just replaced by the EPA and the Chicago Park District. And the third phase is gonna be the actual construction of the park. We are waiting for Related Midwest to start its own construction across from Lakeshore Drive. They're gonna put one tower, then they're gonna build the park, and after that, they're gonna build their second tower. So we are hoping that 5 years from now, you're gonna see a different skyline because of the new towers, but you're gonna also see a new park right here. And we invite you to come and join us and spend some time on DuSable Park so we can tell all good stories about the good old times while we are sitting in the park. Thank you again so much for joining us, and we hope to see you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much, Serge. We're gonna have to get that whole tour on video so we can use it over and over again. That's one of my next goals that I'm inspired to as a result of today. Well, I think we are coming to the end. We will make sure that we keep all of you connected and updated on the next steps on the upcoming conversations through our Parks Democracy Conference and luncheon. And we hope that you will share the video. You can go on Facebook if you're a Facebook person, and encourage people to take a look at the Facebook Live, which will be hosted on our Facebook page. There are 3 different segments on there now. And certainly we can follow up by sending you the recording. We will also expect to send that out as part of Friends of the Parks electronic communication. I just want to open it for any last word. I'm so moved. I think it's pretty much all been said, but we just invite a comment or two and then we will close down. And thanks again all for joining us today. while we wait to see if anyone wants to chime in, I'll give Edser the last word. And I just want to say, usually when we're out there, it's like 90 degrees and we're sweltering. And so those who got to be out there on site today are the lucky ones, because it is a gorgeous day and they got the best conditions, I think, ever for this tour. But go ahead and take us out, Edser.
Okay. Oh my goodness, it was such a wonderful way to commemorate, DuSable and his life, his achievements, and that was quite moving. That was, I mean, it's hard to tap this event, and we have to do. Well, I'm still speechless about the whole thing, but it was a wonderful way to celebrate DuSable and Kitty Hawa, and to look out to the future, and a future of inclusion, a future as DuSable himself would have liked it to be, because I'm pretty sure that if he were brought back to earth today, if he were alive today, he was looking at this ceremony, he would have been proud. He would have seen that's what he has always envisioned. Because when he came to the area, when he joined forces with the Potawatomi, so it was for a purpose. Yeah, it was for the purpose of bringing people together. It was a magnificent outlook that he had, on this place that was like a center for commerce, but also a center for exchanges between different peoples, First Nations, and other ethnicities. And his settlement was the epitome of a multiculturalistic environment, and where everybody was on equal footing. I mean, when you look at Chicago, you see, I keep saying that, that's his vision that's being unfolding, because he was the first developer in Chicago, the first entrepreneur, the first administrator, the first hotelier, and he had the vision, but he had to have at his side somebody who could guide him. And I'm pretty sure that if he were alive today, and if we ever find a piece of history on DuSable himself, we would see how crucial Kitty Hawa was in that whole enterprise. We cannot really understate this. Her contribution. This was a synergy between him and Kitty Hawa that brought Chicago to what it is today, this world-class city, this megapolis. And thank you again, Friends of the Parks, and DuSable Park Coalition, and all the members. That was a treat today. And thank you again.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll be seeing you electronically, if not in person. Thank you for everyone behind the scenes who made this work today. I'm waving goodbye, even though you can't see me. Wave goodbye, everyone.
Yes, I can.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you all. It was beautiful. Thank you, Doris.
Nice to see you again.
Bye, everyone.
Okay. All right then. Bye-bye.
Well done.